Welcome back. Love Boat Project, episode 27.
Amazing.
I am Mike Robertson along with Mike Taylor. Welcome aboard, Mike.
Welcome. Thank you. Good to be back.
We're back we're back to a normal episode, which has felt like a long time for us. Just spoil, a secret behind the curtain. We recorded a lot of the end of season 1 early. And then we had the stubbies and we had the 2-parter. So this is the first normal 1-hour episode that we've had in a long time. And I would say it's a normal episode.
If I had to describe this episode in one word, normal.
I had the thought about a conversation we had towards the end of the season where it was like, if we knew in the first half of last season what we knew in the second half of last season, we would have been very grateful for some of the quote unquote normal episodes that we got that we were kind of like in. And so come around season 2, I'm being very grateful for just a quality episode that didn't try to do too much and just delivered on stuff. I thought I was very, very pleased to be simple like that.
Just be better than episodes 21 and 23.
The bar is so low.
That's the bar. That's the bar. That's the bar. Yeah.
Tonight we are talking about season 2, episode 2, Rocky, Julie's Dilemma, and Who's Who. So some fun titles there. The synopsis that I pulled from the newspapers of that day, in the little TV guide that they have for the newspapers.
I love that. Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. See what you think. Julie's parents decide to get a divorce. That is
straightforward.
Accurate. That is accurate. A 13-year-old falls in love.
Okay.
I mean, technically true.
I'd go with the first kiss thing more than that, but okay, that's fine.
You're burying the lead a little bit, but that's okay. A pair of mature prudes share the same cabin.
It checks the box.
Yeah. Very heavy use of prudes in this episode, which I guess I never really thought about as a term that existed in the late 70s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember in the late 80s.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that term many times. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it was interesting to hear adults, like old adults, reference this prudes. It's good shorthand. Like, I understand what they were doing. But I always think of prudes as like a 13-year-old who doesn't know what to do at the school dance or something.
Well, let me ask you, your first impression of the two prudes.
Yeah.
How old in your mind were they when you were watching this? I don't think it was super important, but I'm just curious because they age people strange in this show.
I would say...
Because she seemed a lot older than him.
Yeah, I'm going to say late 50s just to get them in under our life begins at 60 rule.
Right.
And so I think they were definitely close to olds, but I don't know.
Was she older than him? Do you think?
No, it's that stupid way they age women in this show.
She was probably younger, made her look older than just to...
Yeah. And, James Coco, great in this, but he's never going to look like a young, virile guy. So.
No.
Original air date for this baby, Saturday night, September 23rd, 1978. And little disappointing with what was on. NBC went with a real movie with real actors.
What time did the movie start? Was it 8 to 10 or was it 9 to 11?
Everything is 9 to 11 that we will discuss here. Or 9 to 10, actually, because we have a new show on CBS, but we'll get to that.
Ooh.
So Burnt Offering is the movie on NBC tonight. This is from 1976, I believe, and it stars Karen Black, Oliver Reed, Burgess Meredith, and Betty Davis.
Whoa.
It's basically Amityville horror. It's a haunted house, basically.
It's quite a cast, though.
It is quite a cast. I've never heard of it, but...
I've never heard of it either.
Yeah, it had decent... decent people in it, and like I said, it seems like exactly the movie that they would then make 20 times.
Maybe it's like a
Fun
more
fact, though.
family friendly. It's like
Yeah,
something that the whole family can watch with that.
right.
Just make it a
Apparently,
little
behind the
less.
scenes was not family friendly though. Betty Davis and Oliver Reed were like,
Really?
so
Betty
yeah. Well,
Davis hard to work with?
I mean, she's got to
What?
be in her 80s. I don't think Oliver Reed was
Yeah.
a real peach either. So
No, no. I mean, she's just screaming at people.
yeah. Good morning, darling.
Just
That's
where's the
Burgess, right?
cigarettes? Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight.
No TV movie this week, but we
Really?
have on CBS at 9 The American Girls.
The American Girls. That's a
Ever heard of it?
show? No.
Neither.
No.
The American Girls season premiere was on this very same night, going up against the juggernaut that was season 2 of The Love Boat.
30-minute
This
show? Hour-long show?
hour-long show. It's a weekly adventures of two gorgeous TV journalists. A little digging that I did into it makes it seem like they are correspondents for a 60 Minutes type show. And in the course of pursuing journalism excellence, they get into a crazy mix-em-ups. So, would you like to hear about the first episode, or would you like to hear about the guest, that the previous Love Boat guest that we have already met, that is one of the two stars of the show?
I would love to go yes to both. I'm
You're going to get both because you're the only person. So
I'm into this. Yeah,
okay.
let's.
The premiere episode that was going up against the Love Boat tonight was called "The Canceled Czech," but Czech like Czechoslovakian.
Oh,
Awesome,
like,
right?
They're going to go find Jaromir Jagr. Like, what's going on?
Amy and Rebecca draw the assignment of interviewing a famous magician whose recent defection has caused controversy. Then they find themselves involved in rescuing the magician from an assassination attempt. So,
what is it? Stripes? Did it involve an RV of sorts?
Yeah.
Come on.
It's Blackstone. It's Czechoslovakian Blackstone. So.
It's just the worst. Doug Henning's in there somewhere. Smoke bombs. There's a Muppet somewhere. But they can't call it Muppet. You know, there's a whole thing going on.
It's like Diane Sawyer trying to rescue Doug Henning would be the greatest.
It's weird stuff. All in one. Everyone's just trying to derail the juggernaut that's called the Love Boat.
There are two stars of it, obviously, two hot journalists. Now, one star, Deborah Klinger, who I've never heard of. She's the brunette in this. We will meet her at the end of season 4 in a 2-parter Love Boat that features real life fashion people such as Halsey and Bob Fosse, or Bob Mackey, one of the two. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. So anyway, we'll meet them in season.
That's a big difference there. We'll meet Bob Fosse and Bob. What do you say?
Yeah,
Buddy Hackett and Buddy Guy? Is that what you said?
No, probably Bob Mackey. The thing you'll like about that episode is Julie's friend is a model. Something happens, and then Julie has to become the runway model. But we'll talk about that.
I hope her hair is significantly longer. Good
we'll
Lord.
talk about that in 2 years.
All right.
Here's the problem. I think we're going to get to good Julie hair, and then by the time we get to season 4, we're going to get to like 80s Julie hair. So it's going to be.
You know what's going to happen then. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Julie. So
here we go.
All right.
I'm going to give you baseball 3 strikes. You can ask as many questions as you want with your 3 strikes. But the other star of the American Girls has appeared on a Love Boat episode that we have done already. It is a woman, and she was in 1 episode, and she did not win a stubby.
Wow. Talk about a wide net.
I know. But think about it. Think about it, right? Like it's a.
Is she an old?
Well, no, I was gonna say this is they're 2 hot young journalists, basically. So I'll be very impressed if you get this. You'll remember her appearance, but I'd be very impressed if you got it.
I'm thinking. For some reason, my brain is going to that blonde woman who that guy said, "I'll see you sometime." Remember?
See you Sometimes.
Remember,
Oh, the Mike
but I can't
Andrews
remember who
guy.
she
No,
was.
she's not big enough. It's
Um,
another blonde.
not Joanna Kearns.
Not Joanna Kearns. You got one more guess, and I will say this. This person has thrown one of the punches that we saw in season 1.
One of the punches.
Yep.
Wait a minute.
It's not Pearl Bailey.
Oh, it's not Pearl Bailey, obviously.
It's not Pearl Bailey, and it's not
it's not the
chauvinist.
It's not the chauvinist guy. Was it the woman that we suspect that Doc had relations with?
No, that's Patty Duke.
Patty Duke.
She didn't punch anybody. The correct answer, and I don't blame you for not remembering. We're already into season 2. You're not going to remember everything. Priscilla Barnes, star of Three's Company as Terry, who punched out Waldo in the contest, the beauty pageant contest.
Wow.
He took that star turn and got to do 11 episodes of the American Girls.
Of that.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get to hear more from those American Girls over the next few weeks. Probably not.
Well,
and not for that long either.
Let me ask you. So it was 11 and done, and then that was it? So
and I don't even know if it stays in the time slot. It just said 11 episodes. So.
Well, they didn't exactly do it a favor by putting it up against the Love Boat on a Saturday night.
And burnt offerings.
And that's it.
That's it.
Who's going to watch that if they have a choice between Burnt Offerings with Betty Davis? Come on.
Or this. This is a fascinating guest list this week. In that
100% agree.
I would say, except for one or two people, I didn't even need the portholes to know who these people were. These were names. These were names I knew, faces I knew.
A couple I didn't, to be honest, but
yeah,
for the most part, I totally agree.
So we'll kind of buzz through here. We get the other Baio. We got a lot of Baio-verse this week. So we get Jimmy Baio is Norman, and Norman's mother is played by Ellen Travolta, who of course played Scott Baio's mom on Happy Days and Charles in Charge. So
how much Baio was enough in one episode?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We got the better Baio in this one.
Well,
Jimmy
it was
Baio wipes the floor with Scott Baio. So.
With his, we'll get to it, but I just think it's the same story. They brought Jimmy Baio to do the same story that they brought Scott Baio in to do, and they were like, "Hey, don't Scott Baio it up."
It's true.
We're bringing you in, James.
We're taking a second shot at this storyline. Damn it! All that needed was the old lady with the booze in her soup.
No, we need you to have more of an accent too.
Yeah. Hey, stupid.
Oh, yeah. What's that stink? What did you? And at the end, we're gonna have you throw tomatoes at people. Like, okay, we get it. Jeez.
So Melissa Gilbert plays the tomboy, Rocky Simpson, who is really the focus of this whole episode, which is surprising when you see one of the crew members' parents involved. It really is a Melissa Gilbert show, I would say.
Before this, I have no idea who Melissa Gilbert was.
Really? Little House on the Prairie?
Never. No. Why would I watch that when you can watch Starsky
I didn't watch it, but I assumed you'd be aware of it.
No, it was never. I ran from that and Highway to Heaven. If either show was on, I was going in the opposite.
What about Bonanza?
Direction. No, not a Bonanza.
So you're anti Michael Landon. Was it the hair? Was it the head? I don't know.
Maybe it was. I think maybe it was his buddy with the
Victor
A's
French.
Cap. Yeah, because I'm more of I'm not really an A's fan. Yeah.
So Melissa Gilbert catches a stray.
Sorry, she got the shrapnel.
I don't know if this fact will be as fun for you then, but Melissa Gilbert has been married 3 times. Her second husband was Bruce Boxleiter, of Scarecrow and Mrs. King fame.
Oh, I do like that show.
The titular
Okay.
Scarecrow.
Okay, now a minute. Okay.
And her third husband, I believe, still married,
Yeah.
Timothy Busfield.
Why do I know that name?
30-something, Revenge of
The
the
beard?
Nerds, the red beard guy.
The
Yeah.
red beard violin playing guy?
He,
Wow.
I think he married the mom in Little Big League, West Wing. He was Danny
Wow.
Kincannon, but you never saw West Wing.
No. I know. I
Anyway,
remember the guy, 30-something. I used to watch 30-something. I used to enjoy 30-something.
there you go. Well, pretty sure he's our first 30-something. I don't know if we're going to get Peter Horton or Norton or whatever his name is.
But even Peter Dinklage started on that show.
30-something?
Yeah. She was having an affair.
With
you know
Peter
what?
Dinklage. Wow.
I don't want to spoil. I'm sure there's a 30-something project out there somewhere.
I'm
so I don't want to.
I'm pretty sure 30-something took place in Philadelphia. I think. Or was supposed to.
I just remember it was a lot of talking.
Yeah. A lot of yuppie
There's
talking.
A lot of talking.
A lot of talking.
I don't know what I like
who is now past their 30s, nope. Still not it.
No, they still talk way more than I did. Or it was, I don't know what, there was some weird appeal to the show.
James Coco as Marion Atkins and Dottie.
Yeah.
Okay, so James Coco is one of those guys for us that I don't think he was in anything definitive that we would know, but he was in a lot of stuff that we would have seen. Like I remembered him from an arc in Give Me a Break or from Who's the Boss? Or it's just a lot of that. I think he was in a movie called Fatso.
He was just a working actor, basically.
But yeah, he's very recognizable. And I think he had like a commercial or something like that, but he was definitely
he's so familiar.
And I think what you saw him do in this episode is his shtick. He's almost like a decaffeinated Dom DeLuise.
It's funny you say that because that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm getting a very strong Dom DeLuise vibe from him.
And I wouldn't be shocked if those guys were in a lot of the same auditions. So
it's the same character.
If I wanted a little more gravitas, I'd go Coco. If I want a little more zany, I'd go with Captain Chaos himself.
That's nice. It's nice to have the option.
I don't know who the third guy is. Dodie Goodman was, as Patricia Selden, was in Grease. And my Grease memory is not great, but I want to say she was like the counselor or somebody. Anyway, I didn't take the time
remember she was like a teacher or some kind of
something in the school. Second Grease person though, after Frankie Avalon, which made me wonder, will we get a Grease kid? And is it just the girl with the high voice? Oh wait, isn't the other girl from Empty Nest in Grease? She's gonna be one.
The other girl, not the
redhead. Yeah. Not the squeaky voice one.
No.
And the other one.
Talking about. Maybe. We'll see.
I don't think we're obviously not getting Travolta.
Well, what year did Grease come out?
I think it's out now.
It's out right now. Okay.
I think so. So we're not getting Travolta.
Not yet, but you're going to get them.
I don't
those
think
smaller people for their next role. I bet you when that 6 months or something, there's going to be a cycle. We'll get somebody.
Do we get, what's his name? The guy who ended up on Taxi.
Adrian Zmed. Do we get him?
That's Grease too, isn't it?
He's a Grease too.
Oh, we're totally getting Adrian Zmed.
Oh, I'm a big fan.
AJ Hooker? Oh, come on.
That was great. He was the original host of Dance Fever.
No, I thought that was Danny Trejo.
I think he was the original.
Really?
It was a thing about with Merv Griffin. There was a whole thing.
Oh, no, Merv.
And then he never worked again.
All right, I'm gonna save.
Yeah,
I have the last two here as the parent couples. And I'm gonna save Rocky's parents for the end because I want to run something by you. So Norman Fell and Betty Garrett play Julie's parents. We have gotten our second parental unit of one of the crew members, and well, let me ask you your thoughts, Mike.
My thoughts
on the McCoys. What do you think?
Number one, Norman Fell gave you a bunch of nothing in this
I was
episode.
so disappointed.
I
I
was like,
was
what's the
so
point of
disappointed.
having him? He barely
That
had a line. All they were doing was like look miserable.
yeah. How many times can you say I can't put up with this
Right.
charade
Just
anymore?
like
What a
it was
waste.
a waste. It was a
Absolute
complete
waste.
waste of Norman Fell.
I love Norman Fell. I think him as Stanley Roper is one of the great comedic things ever. And he does so much with so little. And to just make him this depressed mope, and spoiler, they never come back.
No. He
The
was the
parents
same
never come back.
character. It was
So you shot your
oh,
wad.
I thought after watching it that Norman Fell, it would have been interesting to see him play Marion Atkins. Only
Yeah.
because it was so out of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So out of character, just something, against the grain. But it was sad to see it because he didn't do anything.
No.
And I
Complete
don't know,
waste.
he barely had a line.
Complete waste.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
not happy
you're
about
right.
it.
Half of it was just him looking perturbed.
That's it. I just wrote down he's great at looking miserable.
Yeah. And it's like,
But
it's
he's
kind of the same
funny.
thing we had with Jim Backus. It's like just wasting what ends up being like the only appearance you're getting out of these guys with just, but it's apparent. Like, how do you do such a good job? And you know what? I'm coming at our guys here.
I
Art
know. I
Bear
was
and
just
Ben
going to bring
Jolson.
it up. This is a very, very
Very
weak.
poor. Very weak.
They pretty much they funicelloed it.
It really did.
They really,
did.
it's a waste.
Yeah.
You could have had anybody in this role. You didn't even need a name. It'd be better if you didn't have a name.
Yeah, because now you can't get Norman Fell back.
No.
So you
Why
end up
would he
not
come
having
back?
Julie.
Yeah, and then you can't bring him back as not Julie's parents because Julie will have a freaking nervous breakdown because she'll be like, "You look exactly like," and
I guess there's a possibility that they recast it at some point because you can't look that up as easily. But
why waste that? Why waste that?
And the mom was a little better, but these are really good TV actors who
wasted.
Now, do you remember who Julie's mom is married to on a different show?
Yeah. I remember. It was Laverne and Shirley.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry Keys.
Oh.
Oh. Yep. It all gets back. 6 degrees of Barry Keys.
Wow.
All right. The last couple I want to talk about and this will lead us into the porthole report.
Sure.
Are Rocky's parents, Edward Winter and Marla Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know who Edward Winter was?
He looks very familiar.
Right. So,
but no, I couldn't put my finger on it.
So I would not have gotten this.
Yeah.
He was on MASH as Captain Flag, who I think was like the rival of guys. He was like a persnickety kind of guy, and he would be on MASH a lot. And really? I looked it up. Also on After MASH. That was for you.
Well, then, how many episodes of MASH? I don't remember him at all.
There was one shot in this where I was like, oh, okay. I think I recognize them. MASH is like, there's too much going on in MASH for me to remember things like that.
People leaving and coming and going. Yeah, it's tough to. Did you wear a helmet in that all the time?
Maybe. I don't know. You know what he didn't wear?
I don't recognize him.
You know what he didn't wear was a blue ruffled tuxedo.
Dude, that thing.
Oh God.
Well, and it had me questioning the dress code of dinner. I'm like, is that what's appropriate?
His wife. Awful. Now here's the big one. This was shocking to me. Marla Adams played his wife, Arlene Simpson.
Yeah.
This is her second appearance on the boat. I was stunned to find out that she was on before, because I was like, man, what a dud performance by these parents. This is terrible. This woman didn't even get a credit, blah, blah, blah. Marla Adams appeared as, I believe, Stubby nominated songstress Glenda Fairbanks in the Leslie Nielsen episode.
Oh.
Crazy, right?
Oh, okay. Really?
It is wild. She doesn't look anything like it, but she But then you look at it and it's like, well, but it looks like her. But it's like they made her look either older in that episode or younger in this episode or whatever. But I was stunned.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that kind of rolls us into our portal report.
Glenda Fairbanks. There it is.
Stunning.
That's
and she's done.
crazy.
Now she'll never be on again, which is wild because she was really good.
She was great in that. Remember that song? Jeez.
I'll be seeing you.
That's a quick back-to-back, or is my just timetable?
No, that was late. That was late in season 1. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
But the interesting thing is she's only 40 years old in both of those episodes in real life. So
yeah, how does she even know those songs?
I thought she was older in this episode. I thought she was older in this episode than she was, and probably younger in the other one. But
I don't want you to know.
But that rolls us into our porthole report, which is she is the only one of the cast members not to make the porthole, which she has way more lines than Edward Winter does.
Than Norman Fell does too.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I mean, really, if it wasn't for his name, they didn't.
But we can't go 9. Is 8 enough? It's ridiculous. She deserved it, and I'm going to start keeping track of like the most egregious leave out. And so far, she's the winner because she had a lot of lines.
All right, so if you were limited to 8,
who am I bouncing?
Who are you bouncing?
Either,
I mean, you
Edward
can't really...
Winter or, and I thought she was very good. Ellen Travolta didn't have much to do. She didn't even get a name.
Yeah, Norman's mother.
Norman's mother. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The only thing she said was Norman. Apologize.
Yeah. Right. We'll get to the parenting.
Yeah.
Portal was pretty basic, I thought. This week we had James Coco did a nice turn into the camera.
It was good. I like James Coco's approach to it.
Norman Fell, and maybe it's because I was so desperate. Norman Fell gave us maybe a taste of the Stanley Roper camera.
He was just angry or something.
But
something was off.
It wasn't good. They were very. And then, like I said, the kids don't even look into the camera. Is that some sort of like labor law? Like you can't look into the camera.
Don't look directly at the camera. Something with the lights. They're like LED lights. Kids don't look directly at I don't
know. One more note from me before we get on the boat. Of all the people in this episode, only 2 of them will ever return. Ooh, which is wild to have 9 people and only have 2 back. And it is Mr. Atkins.
Oh, good.
And Miss Sadler, yeah. So Melissa Gilbert never comes back. Norman Fell never comes back. None of those people come back. Jimmy Baio, he's out of here. So I don't know what happened this week. People were like, nope, I'm not coming back ever again.
Yeah, that's
Any last notes, Mike, before we jump on the boat?
Just a quick question about Ellen Travolta. Is that John Travolta's
sister?
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a map. So John Travolta's sister is Ellen Travolta, who is the TV mom of Scott Baio, who is the cousin of Jimmy Baio, who she is the mother of in this episode. So there you go.
And I think, is it Jimmy Baio with the fake accent? I can't remember. It's hard to keep track. I believe it's Jimmy Baio with the fake accent. Oh.
Hey, you stink.
Oh. Who's the casting people for this? Like, what? How low is the bar?
I thought he was good, but the real answer is Jimmy Baio was on Soap, and as we've learned, the Soap set must be next door to the Love Boat set because that is what, like 8 Soap people or something. It's crazy.
Let me ask you. It's 1978.
Yes.
The Love Boat is sinking. Right?
Yeah.
You can save one Baio. You can save Jimmy Baio. You can save Scott Baio. You have to save one. There's only room for one. Which one are you saving? Based on their performance
based on performance, Jimmy Baio.
You're saving Jimmy Baio.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big dilemma for me, I thought, was going to be I have to then get the rest of their lives. And is it worth losing Charles in Charge
Yeah, Jimmy Baio will do it. He'll do it.
I think he would.
You know,
Well, we need to help Willie
Jimmy.
Ames. Willie Ames
Jimmy's in.
needs some money.
Jimmy's in charge of me. The whole
Buddy
the
Lembeck, you
theme song.
stink.
If you wouldn't be Willie Ames, it would be Schultz from Hogan's Heroes instead somehow. I don't know how. It would be great. It would be a whole different thing.
I'd watch Charles in Charge. They should just redo Charles in Charge now with Jimmy Baio, just superimposed in.
That'd be great.
It was great.
Dub his face in there. Yeah.
All right. Let's get on the boat. Mm-hmm. Doc and Gopher open up with ogling of a blonde woman who walks by, and that gets interrupted by Julie. Julie is on 10 because she's excited that her parents are going to be visiting the ship. Not visiting the ship, taking a ride, taking a cruise. Why? Why?
That's why it.
Telephone technology in 1978 was limited, but there are ways to see your children without going to their office.
But it's not even seeing the children. Like, yeah. I've noticed a trend, right, in people that come onto the Love Boat, right? People that come onto Love Boat fall into a few different categories, right? They're either recently widowed or widowers, recently divorced, or their husband or wife left them at the altar, or they secretly have bad news. 2 of the 3 stories revolve around secret bad news. It's the same thing. Like, this is where you're going to come to her work to tell her, and you saw by the reaction it wasn't going to go well. Like, they know she's a little, I didn't say crazy, but she's a little extra,
And so let's go on what we know.
Yeah.
Julie said she's from Oregon.
Right. It's not that far away.
Even though we were told that Norman Fell was in show business, let's assume they still live in Oregon.
Sure.
They get on the boat in Los Angeles.
Right.
Julie lives in Los Angeles now. So don't go at the beginning of the cruise. Show up at the end of the cruise.
Show up when she's getting back.
Right.
Or how about Julie? You take a day off.
Saturday. That feels like Julie probably strong-armed them into it. I mean, based on this, we saw no evidence that Julie wouldn't strong-arm them into something. So,
I mean, her dad is pretty much catatonic the whole trip.
I can't do this any longer.
Even when he got to sleep alone, you get to enjoy the night. He was just like,
commercial break.
Way to give it your all, Norm. Appreciate that.
It would have been great. We'll get to it. It would have been great if when he's doing that and they go to commercial break and they come back and it's a different scene, but he's still standing there.
He's still the same.
So checked out. He's just the upshot of all this is that Julie has just been very pesky, asking Gopher if her parents arrived, describing them, blah, blah, blah. The big hook is that they've been married for nearly 30 years. What a coup.
Great.
Doc and Gopher then go back to their ogling of, I assume, a different blonde woman, but it's sure like the same blonde woman.
Looks like the same lady to me.
Second time, which actually would have been funny if that's what they did. But they get stopped by Patricia Theldon, major prude.
She had the flower she was wearing on her shirt was like almost bigger than her head. It was amazing. This giant floral arrangement. It took up most of her torso.
Her whole hat game was impressive. We always talk about like people packing those big pictures and all, but like her hat box must have been immense.
The fact that she kept one of those crappy visors that were see-through and plastic in a drawer.
I thought she was either going to do the boat accounting or start dealing on a river.
But the whole point of that is it keeps like the sun out of your eyes. But it was on top of this nest of hair. Like ma'am, you don't need a visor to do that, ma'am.
They do good work in establishing that she's a prude. I will say this:
she looks bananas. By the way,
they dance the line pretty well in that, because this could have been pretty annoying with basically these two characters are prudes, but I thought they danced the line pretty well. So
I agree. I thought it was a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I agree with you.
We'll talk about the divvying up of the screen time for this one too, because it was odd. But the first evidence that she's a prude is that Doc says "Holy cow" to the blonde who walks by, and she explains how that could be offensive to some people. And we are off. We are off to the races.
You know, as soon as she said that, I wrote down "right to censor." Immediately, The Good Father.
I may or may not have told this story on this show. I've definitely have told you that a friend of mine worked at the GameStop or whatever in the Chamonix Mall and fixed Stevie Richards' PlayStation. So,
really?
Yes.
That's awesome. Big Stevie cool.
Yep. Yeah. So Doc, when she walks away, basically is like, what a major prude. So here we are with the prudes. And Gopher's like, I feel really bad for whoever's rooming with them. Marion Atkins. And it's like, why would you bring that up? That's a very specific plot point. Well, I'll tell you why. Because we smash cut to James Coco as Marion Atkins and Julie checking him in. And there's a crazy mix em up because the top flight data system of the Love Boat has accidentally put a male and female roommate together.
You'd figure there would be some corresponding information other than name. Whether that's like male, M, female,
like
or
M or F.
Something. Or like check ID. Would you have to pick in order to assign a room? So if you pick and you check the ID, I mean, back then.
Well, when's the last time we did the roommate bit? It's been a while, right?
It has been a bit.
Like, I want to say, is it possible the last time was our boy Mickey O'Day? Has it been that long?
I remember it wasn't necessarily the roommate bit. It was when that guy that was like, hey, I'll see you sometime, was with that girl. Right, that's what I'm saying. The other, right, but the other one, yeah.
This crazy thing that we didn't know was a thing until we watched the first episode, where you can just be randomly roomed like an Uber share.
I think it's only one other time where it's been this sort of. When's the last time? First episode was the very first one. I'm trying to think of the last time.
I think it might be Mickey O'Day and Potsy.
It might be Mickey O'Day,
which is crazy. So
which is the ultimate.
Yeah, which is the best roommate.
It's the best roommate situation ever. Because Potsy's too nice to say anything.
Yeah, so that's one they pulled out of the closet. I'll be curious to see. I'll give them this. At least if they're going back to the well, it's been a while, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's low hanging fruit.
There was a wrestling writer that was like, you can recycle an angle after like 5 years or something.
Sure.
Like that. It's like you can recycle one of these after half a season. So I'm allowing it.
I think Jimmy Baio next year comes back as somebody called the Midnight Rider. He rolls around on a horse.
Hey, I Tully Blanchard with a bat.
I'm not Jimmy Baio.
So anyway, I mean, James Coco as he's a prude too. In fact, he's such a prude. He has a pamphlet to hand out. It's called "Make Life the Business of Living," which I don't think connotates the prudeness that it apparently has.
Maybe that's how he gets it. You read the outside. Maybe he goes places trying to get approval to hand it out, and there's just
those two characters. Those two characters never started a sentence that wasn't like apologizing for the most mild offenses of all time. There's no way he thinks that he's sneaking one in.
No, I got to tell you, James Coco, just the physical comedy in this guy, just the subtle, the facial expressions, he's good, man. He's really, really, really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't. There might be one stubby that I'm engraving already, or at least getting the knife out.
Lowest energy? Is that the stubby you're engraving?
But I would say there's a couple potential nominees in this episode. And I think James Coco was really good.
Oh, I thought Dodie Goodman was just as good.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Um,
Do
so
we have a couple of the season?
no, we should have that.
We should. I
Write that
feel like,
down.
you
Let me
know,
write that down.
'cause I feel like that's important.
Best couple. I
Yeah,
agree. I'll put that on the list.
I like that.
16 categories is not enough. We need
No,
more.
no. But these
And
guys,
we're not going to get rid of any because they're all perfect.
no,
So,
they're great. But the Coco Goodman connection on this episode,
yeah.
it was their storyline. It had two people in it. Maybe with Gopher making, and Doc making a couple
I mean,
comments, they
barely
carried
though.
it.
Yeah.
It's funny. They had all these lines, right? These two people carried this. These James Coco and Dodie Goodman and Norman Fell. Norman Fell didn't even want to wake up in the morning for this crap.
He did. He did this.
He didn't have anything better to do, but he's like,
Yeah.
anything's better than this.
Well, the story with Norman Fell always is that he did not want to do the spinoff. He did not want to do the Ropers because he knew it was going to be a flop, and he wanted it in his contract that he go back to Three's Company after it flopped. And then they hired Don Knotts, and that was the end of that. And so I wonder if this is like Norman Fell, like, oh, I'll be on your dumb boat show.
Well, it's funny too because I mean, he tried to have his cake and eat it too. Because what if the Ropers was a smash success?
Yeah.
Well, then obviously he's not trying to go back, but he always had that. I thought he was great, but come on, you can't compare with Don Knotts. In my opinion,
it's a different.
It's a different character.
I
miss the Mrs. Roper sort of aspect of it, but
yeah.
Meh.
I will say this: Don Knotts, whenever he ends up on this boat, will not be mailing it in. He will not be mailing it in.
Oh, he doesn't believe in that. He doesn't even use the mail.
No. Like, we should just like be like, okay, Don Knotts has won an award for season whatever he shows up at, right? Like, there's yeah.
Let's add that, the annual Don Knotts award, just for being Don Knotts.
It's vacant. It's vacant for certain
just waiting
seasons.
for you, DN. Woo.
It's like Skins. He gets like 6 of them if he shows up in season 7. Here come the Simpsons. Rocky is a tomboy, and in case you're not sure that she's a tomboy, she's got a T-shirt with a number on it, like a jersey, like an original jersey that every kid our age had growing up.
Just said team or something ridiculous. Yeah.
Yep. And she's got a ball cap, which is blue with a red brim. So it looks like the Phillies alternate with the cream colored uniforms. It looks like that hat without the P. Also looks like the hat that the reindeer coach wears in Rudolph.
Whoa.
Yeah, the one who teaches them how to fly.
Wow. All right.
So just look out for that next time you're watching Rudolph. It's a
writing it down.
Of Rocky Simpson's hat.
Rip-off of Rocky Simpson hat.
Like I said, this is the official tomboy outfit in 1978. Every girl that we knew looked exactly like this, and they really connotate it well. And just as we're starting to kind of learn about these characters, here comes Jimmy Baio, just X-gaming right down the road.
Watch out on the narrowest skateboard. I forget how small they are from the 70s.
The Nash, one of those Nashes.
Oh, plastic on the bottom. Just how do you stop? Lean back. Woo! Yeah, I remember those.
He just yells, "Move it or lose it."
Yeah.
Dude, like, because here's the thing, right? And maybe this was intentional. You know, him and Ellen Travolta, I think you're connotating New York, right? And so you're thinking, oh, these New York pieces of trash.
These jerks. Right. They're not friendly.
But it turns out they're just from Texas. So,
which?
Yeah. I assume they moved.
Oh, I assume they were moved. I don't assume they moved.
That's why.
That's some WPP right there.
That's why Ellen Travolta didn't have a name.
Yeah, that's why she was calling him Norman. Yeah, okay. What is there, Saint Norman? No, that's not his name. Get out of here.
You should get out of this freezer aisle because you could melt all this stuff.
She's just El Paso. Yeah, okay.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. There is so Melissa
I know where you're
Gilbert.
going. I know
Melissa Gilbert is like, "Do you know how to pop a wheelie?" And he's like, "I don't know." And she grabs the skateboard, and it's not Melissa Gilbert. Whoever's doing this is just
what do you
weaving
mean?
around the skateboard, doing all these amazing tricks.
What?
And then they have this crowd reaction.
Ooh, they were oohing and on a studio audience. Ooh.
It's like the showcase showdown.
Yeah, I love the camera work on that. You know what's funny? We didn't get that in season 1. That wasn't in the budget.
Do you think this is like a leftover Paul Stanley camera trick?
Yeah, everybody who can do a 360 on a skateboard. Yeah, leftover Paul Stanley money, obviously.
Nelson's mom, the no-named Ellen Travolta, comes in and kind of buddies up with the Simpsons, and this is where they reveal that she's a girl. I don't know that it was that confusing, but
it wasn't that confusing.
She had her hair up in her hat, so. But
it's those same people that get fooled by like Clark Kent and Superman. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah. Like, wait, no, because he has glasses. Right. It's the same, yeah.
Or the original Fugitive TV show where I think he just dyed his hair darker.
It's so funny. Like... Put some shoe polish in his hair. What?
All right, Julie's parents are finally on the boat, and boy, are they cranky! It's just immediate.
I mean, they're just, and you know what's funny is that I wonder if they just didn't give him anything, because Betty Garrett is better than this.
Yes, she's much better than this. She tried. I will say that.
Even she barely had a line.
They didn't give her anything though. A lot of it was like, "Oh, Julie," like it was like, you know,
or just confused looks as she went like against her will to do what her daughter wanted her to do in the weirdest way.
The parents show up and Julie throws the clipboard like Jim Wright just rolled onto the ship. Like she just wings her clipboard. Like Julie, we have talked about this, hon. This is the most important part of your job.
This is where
you knew your parents were coming. Like
when's the last time you saw them? What do you,
Julie?
Oh, you know what's funny? She just saw him in the parking lot too. That's how crazy she is. She just saw him like 5 minutes earlier. Like
it was funny though. Julie's never been paged ever in this show. She's gotten a couple phone calls, but she's never been paged, and she gets paged all the time here.
Twice.
Steubing pages her to go up to the deck. No, what would Steubing, who just told James Coco he was too busy to read the pamphlet because he has to drive the ship, what would he need the cruise director for?
I have a theory. You saw what happened later in this episode. There was that weird, I already know, Julie. I already know. And like the touch on the nose and like this weird. I don't want to talk
about those two because I have very big concerns about where that's going.
So do I. Like he's doing this weird father figure thing and like.
I don't like that at all.
Julie, please report to my cabin. I need to do weird things.
Oh, Julie, I need you to look at the Berman's Encyclopedia of Shipwrecks. Come along.
It just created such a weird vibe. I was so skeeved out.
Again, I have incredible concerns about, even if it's just one episode, that they're going to do that at some point. And
she already threw herself at Doc.
I can't.
I mean, what's next?
I don't know that I'll be able to recover. It's like these shows go on. Happen. These shows go on long enough. You run out of ideas. I'm just saying.
But I don't even know if like the term "jump the shark." I don't even know what would describe that, because that's not jumping. There's no shark involved. That is just another weird. Let's just hope that doesn't happen.
So Julie's got to go do whatever with Steubing, and Doc and Gopher are like, come on, we'll walk you your cabins. 30 years, unbelievable. Everybody's so happy.
Yeah,
and then they kind of like Charlie Brown up the steps, and they just stop. Right? They don't even keep going. They just stop. They're never going to be able to find their room. And Norman Fell is like, I can't keep this charade up anymore.
He just got on the boat 2 seconds ago. His daughter's not even there.
What charade? You're miserable.
You're always miserable. Look at your face. Even when he wasn't miserable, he still looked miserable.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I have been known, I think maybe you have too, to, when we're maybe not feeling something, it's kind of obvious. I know our
Well,
wives have maybe told a story or two in that way.
make it better. It's not that hard.
But
Like,
I would never say that I'm doing a really good job of hiding it and I'm tired of it. Like, I just assume
it's pretty
That's the whole
obvious.
point. So.
From my loud sighing to, oh boy, how long are we? Yeah, no. I can't hide this anymore. Again, I go back to this is what you come on the cruise ship to do. Not just to come on a cruise to do this, to where your daughter works. Why would you do that?
It's not just that, but like you should have gotten 2 rooms, right?
Yeah, you can't though.
Because Julie would know.
Right.
Yeah. You should have got a launch ready.
Just don't go on the boat. Don't go on the boat. Don't go on the boat.
Don't get on the boat. I agree. Jump her in the parking lot, like
something.
Like, what's his name? The guy who was having the affair when
jeez. Yeah.
When Huggy Bear was having the affair. Just jump him in the parking lot.
Just right in the parking lot. That's it.
Mrs. Selden is writing a long letter to her cabin mate. And we have now begun the Three's Company level misunderstanding episode. Did you notice the room that they are in?
They all look so similar to me.
No, I only know this because they gave the number. They are staying in
F-133, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Which was next to F-134.
1.
F-31. Is that who's?
That's Radar's room, baby.
That's Radar's room. Okay. I knew it sounded familiar, and I'm like, wait, it's.
So
I hope they checked it for dogs first.
It's like either when you have a lottery ticket or you're waiting for your school number to close. When they were like F-130, I'm like, what? But no. I assume
I wonder if that dog and those puppies are still in that room. They just left.
They run into each other in the hallway, but there's absolutely no reason why they would know that each other's roommate. And so we are done the first of what I would say are 4 or 5 near misses, but they strain reality, but I think it all passes muster.
How did they get in there the first night? How did he get in there the first night to get into the bed to be in the thing without her? That's the only thing. I don't know how you come in completely undetected.
Was the first night the cold duck?
No.
That was the second night?
That was the second night. Because she was putting on the dress and the next morning.
I thought that was the cold duck.
Oh, that was after the cold duck. Was that the first night?
I mean, they moved pretty fast. They're about to
go. Well, they got the lemonade. It was because they had the lemonade, which is delightful.
Lemonade is a gateway to cold duck.
That's why I'm very careful with my lemonade intake. Don't mess with that.
Up on the deck, Rocky and Norman are flirting already in the pool area, and the parents are having a long talk about moving from Denver. Mike, you have moved around as a child, I believe.
Yes.
Is this the worst way to tell a child that you are moving from your childhood home?
I just think, to answer your question, yes. I can't think of a worse way. But also, this is what you do to soften the blow.
Yeah. You're going to miss your baseball game, the thing you love the most.
Sure.
You're going to go on a cruise, which, thank God, we ran into this child.
This random from El Paso. Sure.
In the place we're going. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think this whole trip really wasn't about the moving, wasn't about the baseball. It was really about Rod Simpson's electric tuxedo that he wore to dinner. That's really what I think the trip was about. And I don't think Rod Simpson or Edward Winter would Edgar Winter. I don't think either one would.
Not writing Edgar Winter.
A tuxedo is
the
amazing.
Simpsons are already on my list because it's just like this is not a plan. Hope is not a plan.
No,
like this is terrible.
This
and
just...
and we have talked about this, right? This is the first time we have had characters that are parents bringing a child onto the boat that isn't Monty Hall bringing his 48-year-old son. So, and immediately I'm like, oh no, this is terrible. This is not why you would bring a kid on the cruise. You know why? Because you shouldn't have kids on cruises, probably. So,
no. What do you think? You know what is the logic? She's going to have so much fun in the pool. All right. I think there's probably like a driving range.
Town, USA.
Right. Like, and then we get off in Cabo, and then we say at lunch, look, if you like food like this.
Oh, real Tex-Mex.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
So, it's not a bad thing, right?
I feel like you could have just driven. How far do you think it is from Denver to El Paso as a drive or a flight?
I bet you it's a drive.
Isn't El Paso kind of in North or West Texas?
Yeah.
So West Texas and Colorado, I bet you it's less than Jimmy Walker's drive to Acapulco was. So
it is bug van. Sure. I'm sure he didn't get stopped at the border.
His car died, I think.
That's right.
The Simpsons also do the thing I hate the most. Because they're talking about, Rocky will make friends. She's good at making friends. And then Rod Simpson's like, you'll make friends too, baby. And Arlene is like, I already have my best friend.
I was hoping she was going to pull out a bottle. I already have my best friend. It's Midori.
Shout out to anyone who did this at their wedding. You should do whatever makes you happy. But anyone who says, I'm marrying my best friend today, can get pushed off the boat as far as I'm concerned. So
you can go get that out of here. Come on.
Different things. They're different roles, people. I'm sorry.
It's different.
Yeah. Unless you're Ross and Rachel, they're different roles.
Yeah,
they weren't best friends. So.
They were on a break.
All right. So the Seldons are beginning their courtship. This is where they're kind of out on the deck. Mm-hmm. Atkins is the author of the pamphlets, which Miss Selden compliments him on. And then he reveals that last summer on his vacation, he went to Vegas and handed out 4 suitcases worth of this pamphlet.
Look at this guy. Oof.
Can you imagine you're walking around in Vegas and you get like 4 things handed to you and 3 of them are for strip clubs and 1 of them is for that?
Well, how long would it have taken him
to next year?
What is he doing with them? I mean, how long would it take him to give out that many pamphlets?
I mean, he's got them. He kind of is like the Jim Abbott of pulling something out of his suitcase and switching his hands around.
I don't think he's anything like the Jim Abbott. That's awful. James Coco has 2 working arms, sir. It's awful.
Just saying, the mechanics were fast. It's hard to carry a suitcase around, get something out of the suitcase and hand it to somebody before they leave.
I just believe that Jim Abbott would be great at anything he put his mind to.
I agree. It's a compliment, Mike. Duh.
Oh, that's funny.
He does mention that he was removed from multiple gambling casinos, which seemed like a clarification that was unnecessary. So
to really specify. I was thrown out of many magic kingdoms. Mm-hmm.
This is where he drums up the courage to ask her out for a lemonade. A tall, cool glass of lemonade.
Yeah, whoa. Slow down, Mr. Atkins. Slow down, bro.
So they go get this lemonade, and we find out that Miss Selden is actually an employee of the TV networks, and she's a censor.
Yeah.
Did you think that was like a kind of a thing, like a meta thing?
Maybe in a sense. I mean, just as a portrayal of like what kind of square sort of people are the yeah. I think it was an inside baseball thing.
Because I feel like I can't think of anything insane, but I would imagine Love Boat had some trouble with certain things back then, even, right? Like, I mean, not.
Oh, I bet the standards were way not even language, but maybe
racy content.
Maybe the sharing of pajamas was too much.
I mean, last week we almost had incest. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
they
to
were
be
fine
fair,
with that. Yeah, near miss. Near misses are totally fine.
Whew,
Even with incest? Even with incest. All right. Yeah.
Atkins kind of drums up more courage with the lemonade, and now he asks her out to dinner. She says yes. He offers to walk her back to the cabin. She says no, because not on the first date.
Yeah.
Also because that would have blown up the whole plot.
Yeah. So. That would have ended the story.
Oh, the McCoys are back. Now they're meeting Captain Steubing. And also Julie, who is dressed in some weird vest thing.
This is when it gets weird, too. That weird interaction starts with her and Captain Steubing.
Yeah, so Steubing gives her a compliment, but says, like, don't hold it against me for a raise. And then she says he's a great boss because he offers to throw them a party, but don't hold it against me. It's just like...
And he, like, touches her on the nose.
Like, every third episode, Julie is rolling her eyes at Steubing at best. Right? But this week...
Well, she woke him up to see, early morning ballet.
Crush his brains. Yes. Yeah. There's a few examples of it here in this episode. Nothing structural, right? Like, these are not groundbreaking things, but it's just the consistency stuff that we've talked about.
They matter, though.
It adds up, because here we are 27 episodes in, and now we've got this version of this relationship. So just pick one. Pick it. Right. If this is it, I don't like it, but that's fine. But stick with it. But you can't have Julie next week being like, Captain Steubing, what a jerk. Like, we can't have that. Like, come on.
I agree. I think it's counterproductive. Well, at least we can count on the fact that it's never going to be consistent.
Right. Every week is a memento.
So that's good.
Yeah. Julie gets paged again by Gopher this time. So she's got to go. And as soon as she leaves, man, Norman Fell is like, listen, we
Captain.
came here to talk to Julie. Do not throw us a party, old man.
I think Rodney Dangerfield would have been great as Bill McCoy as well.
Just the most exasperated person.
Just
like Hans Moleman or Deputy Dog should have been Julie's father.
or just have Norman Fell like always eating a sandwich or something like that, where it's just.
What about Eeyore? What about actual Eeyore as Julie's father?
Same. Eeyore. Well, they probably give more lines to Eeyore because they would feel like
I recently watched the original Winnie the Poohs.
Really?
My son wanted to watch it.
Sure.
And not me wanting to watch it.
Sure.
While I was holding him, but regardless, it still holds up. But I will say this, man, Eeyore is miserable.
He's miserable, dude.
You forget how miserable that guy is. He's miserable the whole time.
I think it's directly related to the fact that he has an artificial tail, but that's just
it's got to be a pure
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong there. This whole act took place, not whole act, but this whole scene took place in Steubing's office, which I did not realize right away. But they have clearly lost the original Steubing office, which was big with the desk and the TV and everything.
Yeah.
And now we're working with his closet, but they've at least put pictures on the wall of the closet. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, you'd think he would just have like a legit office because you have so much business to do. You know, when you're not always, well, it's probably, what does he need? Because he's always on the bridge.
I think we said it originally. Why does he need a big office? So I understand that point. But the point is, unless you've got a new boat, unless this is like a Star Trek situation and somebody blew up the boat, like, why did he have to change offices?
Maybe it was due to, what's his name from the two-parter.
Oh,
he put such a stain on the ship.
Oh, they've demoted him.
They demoted him.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Isaac got the office with his promotion.
Well, he had that stuff all over him. Remember? He had all that marinara all over him. It's probably smeared in the office everywhere.
But that was a bigger office, right?
I thought so. At least
You might be
the
right.
desks seem bigger,
You
if
might be
nothing else.
right. Captain Cunningham took that office. Like he's like squatting in it.
It's weird. Yeah, now Stubing's like in the communications cabin.
So we go to Act 2,
Mm-hmm.
and the Simpsons are at dinner in the dining room set. Which, speaking of sets, I think we're back to the regular dining room set. So whatever happened in the hurricane last week has been averted.
Everything's fine now.
Back to normal.
What's the dress code in here, man? I'm baffled by this.
So kids, I imagine they're not going to be crazy with, but I will say, like James Bond Jr., he had a nice outfit on. Baio and Chris McNichol got dressed up.
But a tux?
Well, everybody's wearing tuxes in these things. It's just the fact that it's a blue tux.
Well, I mean, an electric blue tux is just...
It's something.
It's like you're at a wedding party type tux. Like you wouldn't go buy that.
Yeah, it's a prom.
That is a rough look. I just couldn't get past it. Like it was just...
So do you think when they said formal wear back then, if they had said black tie, is it literal black tie? Like black tie means something, right? But like the fact that it's a blue tuxedo, does that make it not a formal wear, a tuxedo?
I don't... The only frame of reference I have is I was on a wedding in the late 70s when I was a little kid. And I had a gray suit with ruffles.
Yeah, of course.
And like the old school bow tie, like the tie or kind of thing. And that was I mean, you're wearing that to a wedding. So like, what's more black tie than a wedding? So maybe in somebody's mind, I was a child. I guess it's a very different situation than Rod Simpson. I guess 6-year-old me could have gotten away with a little more than an adult Rod Simpson.
Get out of here. Get that damn kid out of my wedding. It's black tie.
Look at him. You're not dressed correctly. Mr. Simpson stood out like a sore thumb, man. It was just like,
it's a bold choice. It's a bold choice to pack that. And it does make me wonder. Well, we'll get to it. Might as well get to it now. What is this job he has to move for?
Maybe he designs ugly tuxedos. I don't know.
But it's like, they kind of come off as, like, are they pot growers in Denver? Are they like in that scene? Or like they seem like...
Why wouldn't they just define it? Oh, hey, I'm Dr. Simpson. Blah, 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 blah. My daughter doesn't know it, but I'm recently taking a job at blah, blah, blah hospital. Like, it's too easy.
It's what we always talk about. 2 sentences would make so much difference. But now I have no idea what your job is. And here's what I know about you. You're dressed in a blue tuxedo. So
just give me something. You know what my favorite kind of nudity is? Continuity. It's my favorite nudity. Just give us a little bit of context. That's all we need, just a little bit.
The kids go play. Ellen Travolta shows up. They talk about how girls get interested in dresses and boys at the same time, which I'm sure come up. That's Chekhov's parenting advice right there. So we'll see that coming up.
Okay.
And speaking of coming up, the McCoys are back eating dinner, eating a sad dinner.
There we go. The saddest dinner ever.
Julie is completely unaware and kind of not listening to her parents, who have said like 3 times we'd like to talk. And it's like, hey, parents, I'm so excited to see you. Here's a guy I work with. Like, no. Like, they should have at least made Gopher sit down, right?
She's not living in the same reality we're living in. Like the Julie McCoy, I don't know if they told her to be like that or that's just...
Yeah, it's a lot.
It was a lot. You could really see it in this episode.
Yeah, it was. There were a lot of choices there with the way she handled it. And again, it kind of infantizes her a little bit.
That's what I felt. I felt it really kind of like highlights something. It highlights something. I don't want to say anything disparaging, but there's some troubles there that she's dealing with.
The whole reason they bring Gopher over is so they can look at Atkins and Sadler and or Selden. I needed to come up with a couple name for them, and I never could. I just needed to combo them. It would have been so much easier. The prudes, I guess. But basically now Gopher figures out that a mistake has been made and these two are rooming together. But Julie's like, I haven't heard any complaints.
I don't see any complaints.
So they're just assuming it's all good. You know why? Because it's definitely one of your two faults. Like you two are in charge of that stuff.
So, you would probably think in that situation, the responsible thing to do is to approach one of them.
Yeah. Hey, we'd like.
But in the absence of that, like, I'm wondering, are they thinking like,
just ride it out?
Well, if there was an issue, they probably would have.
I mean, they're not wrong. Plus,
yeah, but they went with the old screw it methodology. Like,
just wait long enough and hopefully something will, take care of itself. And guess what? It did.
I didn't hear a whistle.
Plus, what do you think the ship was booked in terms of gunnels? Think it was up to the gunnels? Maybe there was no room.
Up to the gunnels. Always up to the gunnels.
I'll tell you one thing. Depends what room you were in. Because eventually here, the McCoys are going to get to the dance floor packed to the gunnels. But then later on, that pool is bone dry. So.
Yeah, that is funny. That's funny. That's true.
Atkins propositions Miss Selden with a bottle of cold duck, which will turn into a half bottle of cold duck. But these prudes are hitting the hooch now. This is going very well.
Here we go. He just can't get enough of Patricia Selden.
Nope. Have you ever had cold duck?
No, I was going to ask you what it was. I know it's wine, but what is?
Yeah, it's like sparkling wine.
Is it sweet?
I've never had it, and it's funny. It's like a reference, but I've never had it.
Is it referred to as cold? Is it slang for what it really is? Or?
No, I think it's like cold duck is a sparkling wine, champagne kind of thing or whatever. But I imagine it's like
Riesling, like a German sort of a sparkling white wine.
No, Riesling's like too good. I wonder if it's just like
Thunderbird.
What's that? It's like Reuniti or something. Like it's just like
that's funny. Bartles and James in a big bottle.
Right. The big boys. So while that's happening, the kids are out playing Starsky and Hutch and also ghost stories. But flirting is still happening, and they're just kind of like smashing between scenes here for no reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Where'd those kids get that flashlight?
My assumption, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you wouldn't bring
a
flashlight on a cruise.
No.
I thought they lifted it. I thought old Jimmy Baio, with his roots in organized crime.
I feel bad because the plumber poet is going to be underneath some greasy sink tonight.
He's going to feel some inspiration. He's like, but I can't see my poetry book. Click, click.
My heart
All the
is
batteries
light.
Are dead.
My heart is light, but my view is dark. Someone has stolen my flashlight, but you have stolen my heart.
That's all. And then when you look the next day to read it, it just says, because he couldn't see. Right.
All right, we're in the Acapulco lounge for the dancing. As we said, there's a million people here.
Right.
And Julie is just strong-arming.
She's pushy, now. Man.
She's
so
like,
pushy.
They're both like, I don't want to be in this crowd. And she's like, shut up and dance.
How about like some just general respect for your parents in the sense that they're like, no, thanks. She is just like kicking them into like, relax, yeah. Julie. Holy cow. She's on 20, dude.
Like the second half of this episode, she's doing it, but it's a plan. So
right.
The first half of the episode, she's just doing it. And that's worse. Like she's almost worse in the first half than the second half.
See, I thought that too, but I talked myself into thinking what she did in the second half was worse. Because of like, it was just like manic.
Yes. Yeah. But she's manic the whole episode. It's manic. Really? It is manic. And your parents live in Oregon.
Like they're a state away.
Right.
What is
far. Yeah.
You work in the travel industry.
Yeah. It's so upset. It's closer to LA to Oregon than it is to El Paso from Denver. So is my guess.
It's how much further can it be than Acapulco is from LA? You're going on a cruise all the way down here when you could have just.
Yeah.
So your parents came to LA and then had to go on this boat.
Right.
It just makes no sense. I can't wait to get off this then after this cruise because my parents are meeting me and blah, 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 blah.
They should have framed it as she lured them because it was going to be a surprise 30th.
I gave them this for
right. And then they had to come.
How hard is that?
No, not at all.
We just right then. And that we're talking about Art Bear too. We're talking about the guys we like.
Little worried because I wouldn't say their effort last week was awesome either.
No. I hope they weren't lightning in a bottle.
No,
we'll see what happens.
Julie walks over to the band and asks them to play "Love Is a Many Splendored Thing," which is
way to kill the vibe of the room on a cruise. Everyone's disco and funking it up. She walks up and she goes, and now mind you, her job is to make sure everyone's having a good time.
She says that exact thing later.
Yeah,
as her job description.
Except if she hasn't, she decides that her parents are going to hey, kill the fun vibe of this room and play this old slow song.
And as always, the band knows it.
And the band leader's like, stop now. No segue, no smooth end, smooth exit.
They are abrupt with their song endings. Julie decides to get on the PA mic, I guess, and announce the song. It's like, and now love is a very splendored thing.
She does eat the mic. It's like high school PA.
Come on, Julie.
She just is like, they know the song. We know the song. We don't. She's so. You're right. The whole episode, she's just pure mania.
It is mania. The parents give this 5 seconds. They're like, okay, she's nuts. We're not doing this anymore. And she comes over, is like, hey, what's the problem? And this is where Norman Fell is like, okay, you're not getting what I'm saying now. So now I'm going to be like, just he
couldn't physically look more uncomfortable. But without putting too much effort into it. It was a fine line, Mr. Fell.
Yeah. And Norman Fell, once again, has no time for pussyfooting. And he's like, hey, we're getting a divorce.
Do you hate when... It's so funny you say that. I almost did a spit take watching the second time because I forgot. He just we're just getting a divorce. It's just going to go right into it. But I will say... Despite the delivery of that line, I was not prepared for the reaction that Julie had to that line. I thought it was that was crazy.
Julie reacts to news of her parents' divorce after 30 years, but Julie is about 25 to 30 years old. My parents got divorced around that same age, so I understand the pain. They did not tell me on the cruise that I worked on, so it's a little different. Julie takes that news in the same exact way that Luke Skywalker took the identity of his father's news. It is literally, no, that can't be true. That's impossible.
No, can't be. Running. She's running away.
But she does. She books out of the room.
She runs. Again, she's at work. She's at work. That's the only difference here. Luke wasn't at work, right? Luke knew better. If Luke was at work, he wouldn't have acted like that.
He had lost a hand.
He lost a hand. He was in Cloud City. Everything's all crazy. His buddies in Carbonite. What's he supposed to do? But Luke wasn't at work. If Luke was anything, he was professional. Anywho, she full on sprint and tears and no. Listen, my parents were divorced, but I was in my 10, and I didn't do this at 10.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And I wasn't on a cruise. I think I got a couple extra Star Wars figures just to grease the grease the whole divorce transaction. All right. Cool.
Weirdly in the middle here, we get just a shot of the Simpsons out on the deck chatting.
Yeah.
No reason. Zero reason
at all.
This is literally just to break up Julie freaking out and then Julie freaking out. This is what this is. So.
Jeez, it was a lot of freaking out.
Yeah, unless they wanted to be like, you know what, these have been 2 emotional scenes back to back. We need to calm everybody down with this sweet blue tuxedo,
sweet palate cleanser. No captain's table this week, though. You see that?
That would have been
even dinner. There was nothing.
That would have been really interesting because of the dynamic of Norman Fell and the kids. Can you imagine? He would have smacked Jimmy Baio.
I feel like that's where like that would have been the natural spot for Norman to be over it and say it would be at the dinner table, the captain's table, if he's going to say it in public anyway.
Yeah. First
just
of all,
curious why they went to a dance.
Goddamn kid just shut his mouth. Second of all,
well, I mean, he's like, "Can we go somewhere it's not loud?" Yeah. Oh, great, a dance floor. Okay. They're like, "Can we go back to your cabin? We need to talk." And she's like, "Sure, we can." Psych. Like, stop.
So Julie tracks down the parents on the deck like 2 minutes after this, and she wants answers. And, she gets pretty basic answers, empty nest, and, they want different things, and that's okay.
Again, not a lot of oomph in the answers from Mr. Norman Fell, by the way.
That is no answer for Julie McCoy.
No.
She is like, nope. She leaves again. She runs out.
She's back. She's running again.
That orphan ran one time after Santa didn't give him gifts. Julie ran twice.
She's running like she is making. Yeah, she could have used that flashlight.
She runs right into the arms of Merrill Stubing, who is like just trying to walk down the hallway after the captain's dinner, and he runs into Julie, and Stubing already knew. He was wise to this.
Of course, he knows everything.
Right,
he's omniscient,
and he is an emotional rock for Julie, who he basically is like, I know they're there. And they embrace. Sure. Whatever. Great job.
I don't like it.
Selden Atkins are wasted on the deck on their
old duck.
half ducked. But
half ducked. They're all ducked up.
Yep. They as James Coco says, the trouble with cold duck is afterwards you have to take a cold shower, which I guess.
So, yeah, he was all worked up, man. That guy, they were, if it wasn't for being at sea, they would have somehow had smooched.
The kids are now on a stairwell talking about smooching. Speaking of smooching, and they smooch. They give a gratuitous hat tip to the Fonz, who also like smooching. And this is they're all in the Baio-verse. So I think
they are in the Baio. It's funny.
Weird tag in for Arthur Fonzarelli there, but
it really was. It was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, it had to be because there were all those connections.
So weird.
Although is Fonzie the preeminent smoocher in 1978? He might be.
I don't think so.
For kids, I don't know.
Let's take the Fonzie out of it.
Okay.
Are kids that age looking at Henry Winkler? Are kids that age looking at like David Cassidy or I don't know.
But she's a tomboy, so maybe not.
You saying tomboys like have a hankering for some?
I'm saying they like Henry Winkler. Sure.
They love Henry Winkler.
They're like pretty boys.
I have heard honestly though that he's like the nicest person in the world.
Yeah, and I think that is really what attracted Melissa Gilbert to him all those years.
That's what it is. It was the core of Fonzie.
Let's see. So the kids smooch, and for a kid's smooch, it goes all right.
They thought it was fine.
Gross, they don't hate it.
It was fine. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy,
we're back to Julie again.
Julie is now dumping all her personal problems on the work staff.
Dude, they're in a room.
The boys give good advice.
I thought it was good advice.
Divorce is hard. It's hard for them. You should make it easier on them.
Yeah, but she was only hearing what she wanted. She only heard the craziest translation of that in her head.
Yeah.
Like she didn't understand literally what they were saying. She took it and ran with it she even changed her hairstyle at this point after she left the room.
Yeah.
Her hairstyle was different. She went with a center part because she's crazy, Julie.
Doc is like, you guys got to make it easier. And she's like, yeah, I will make it easier. And it's like, what?
What do you... How is there no follow-up? Like, hey, Julie, you sound a little crazy right now. Like, what are you talking about?
Because this ain't their first rodeo, man.
They just let her be who she is and just avoid the crazy. Probably the smartest thing in the world.
Doc was funny. He was like, see, hey, boys, we've done it again. It's like, this is not the first time they've just done something to get Julie out of the room.
No, just anything. Just to get,
no apparent changes to Isaac's uniform after his promotion, though.
It's funny that you bring up a change in uniform. I sort of skipped this. In the beginning of the episode, when they're getting on the ship, if you look at Doc's shoulders, Doc now has red stripes in between his like gold rank stripes.
Okay.
But it's not on the dress uniform. And Steubing has like yellow stripes between the gold stripes. They changed the stripes. And Isaac was wearing a different color jacket this week. I don't know what that means. Without rank.
Did Steubing take Isaac's promotion and give it to himself?
I don't know, but he definitely.
He didn't give it to Isaac.
If you look at the intro, the credits, it's different now. So I caught it and I saw it again when I watched it before.
Now we need to keep an eye on that. I mean, this show is not going to do anything about consistency, but I mean, you just said Isaac got promoted
last week. Oh, so what? He gets like a earth tone windbreaker now? Is that?
He was barely in this episode.
What does that work?
You get like a weird gray jacket now. Like
it's funny. I never imagined myself in a situation where I'm pausing, rewinding in my living room, maybe a couple hours ago, going saying to my wife, look at those red stripes on Doc's shoulder. And she just looked at me and I realized, wow.
What you were saying. Yeah.
What I was saying. This has gone a little far. So
yes. Yep. Well, luckily we're almost done. We only have like 220 episodes left. If you're not going to do something, if you don't do it right, what's the point?
That's
or whatever that phrase is.
Yeah, if you don't, right. $1 something.
$1 a day keeps the doctor away.
That's it.
So Julie immediately jumps into her crazy plan. Her poor parents, are just trying to go back to their room and not talk. And she grabs Mom. She's like, Mom, listen, obviously you don't want to stay with Dad. You got to stay with me. Come on, I'll get the purser to grab your bags. So Dad will see you in the morning. And she is gone like a shot. Like that's
Norman Fell.
Norman Fell's like, huh? And then commercial break.
Yeah. He didn't give you anything.
No.
Like
he didn't even give you like or something.
Nothing.
But he also didn't give you like thank God. Like he did like.
Yeah, I thought it would be funny if he just kind of shrugged and then walked back to the bar or something like that. Or just something. You don't have to say anything, but
he pulls out the other half of the cold duck.
Anything. You know what I mean? Or you see him 2 minutes later with a bottle of whiskey like Julie bought that one night with Paul Williams. Something like that.
Yeah. Or like a flask. That's a perfect flask. We haven't, except for, did Teddy Anderson have a flask? Did Bob Crane have a flask? We haven't seen a lot of flask action.
No, he just blatantly ordered drinks from the bar. There was no need for a flask. There's no need for that. Plus, he wants to drink out of a glass.
Much like Jamie said, sex is connotated by getting dressed. It's like alcoholism is connotated by a flask in the 70s. Like,
not a lot of have we seen I
don't think so, but we haven't seen a comical alcoholic yet, unless you count Granddad Jack Daniels. So.
I bet you he had a flask. There's no way that guy did not have a flask.
Act 3 starts with more cabin hijinks. This is the thing you were talking about. Selden and Atkins are both in the room, but she's getting dressed and she's got her shirt over her head when he wakes up, and he goes immediately into the shower because he's hungover. She knocks on the door to try and meet the cabin mate, but he doesn't answer. And then goes out in the hallway with her old-timey accountant advisor ready to take on the day.
So, yeah.
She runs into Gopher, asks if he has seen Mr. Atkins. Gopher's like,
be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, they danced
It
the
was
line.
fine. It was
It was
fine.
believable. It was believable enough, right? It was just believable enough. Now,
Yeah.
that is a 250 square foot room that these two people are missing each other in.
But the thing I think is because Coco and Goodman, right? They did such a good job in the episode that little thing, it didn't even matter.
No, not at all.
But you
I
give me
agree.
Norman Fell giving you nothing,
Yeah.
then it becomes about the things that he wouldn't even do,
Yeah.
as
I
opposed
agree.
to because it didn't even become a cabin thing. You could discount the reality of how ridiculous that was because they had a cool. I would have hoped that was the art bar story.
Yeah. I
Just
agree.
because I
Agree.
enjoyed the story.
I agree. And I think sometimes I do this and sometimes I don't, but I think I watched it the first time before I knew who wrote what. And I think I probably assumed it was one of the other two stories that they wrote. Because the Julie story seems like a pretty baseline story.
They didn't need him to do that.
No. And to your other point, we've talked about this with a few roles, but left to lesser actors, that could be a very bad, monotonous. That could have easily been one of those storylines where we sit here and we're like, here we are again,
guys. All right, we know where we're going.
Right, exactly.
You're absolutely right.
Yep.
How could you make such a great casting choice and such a bad casting choice within the same?
I do wonder how much of that was casting, how much of it was him checked out, and how much of it was the pretty lackluster role. So
I guess, I mean, his argument, if Norman was here, he might say, they didn't give me anything to work with. What do you mean to do?
I don't disagree with that either, though. So, chicken and an egg.
They hired Norman Fell to be Norman Fell. I was Norman Fell.
I just think we have, we probably have at most 9 parents of the crew.
Yeah.
And we had Stubby and we had Pearl Bailey, who were amazing. And now we just shot both McCoys, kind of.
What a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame that she didn't, this sounds terrible. It's a shame they didn't divorce earlier. So she could have had like 2 sets of parents. So maybe we'd have a shot at like a better set of parents for her. But.
Well, I think as I've looked ahead to season 2, just in terms of like broad stuff, I think we're going to start getting a lot of people's aunts and cousins and godsons, and like they're going to stretch the relations, out where they need it. So
they love to go to that well.
Well, it's it's easy, right? Yeah.
But it's either done well or not, which I think is interesting, because then if you get the right person, it could be great.
Yeah, I agree. And this could have been, I don't know if it could have been better, but it could have been better. I don't know that this particular attack could have been better, but
hats off to James Coco, man.
Yep,
I really do. He carried it. I thought, not carried it, but just the perfect couple to be this couple.
Julie wakes up her mom. I guess Julie slept in the tub
again.
And she's like, all right, Mom, time to go meet some of our swinging singles.
I mean, she is a red hot American woman, Mike. I mean, lest you forget.
And this is where Julie gives her job description, which is what you said, that, what I do for a living is make people have a good time, unless you're dancing to the latest disco tunes of 1978.
Unless you're having a blast on, opening night of the cruise, first night of the dance floor.
Nope. Time for some old standards.
And you know what? She's going to do it again twice more before the end of the episode. So,
yeah. You know what song I really like when I'm dancing in 1978? It's a song that has Splendid in it. I had to look up how to spell Splendid.
Yeah, I want a sad wedding song from 30 years ago. You're right. From the 40s.
Yeah.
And she'd play it again, Sam. Shut up.
Yeah. That was also Herbert Hoover's favorite song.
Just.
So Rocky is in the cabin and she has found a smut novel and she is reading the smut novel. And her mom shows up.
Kiss, no less.
Seriously. Her mom shows up God knows where mom was. This kid's 13. Like, I get it, but like, you dragged her on the cruise and just left her by herself, and she's reading a smut novel.
So
And then
she's fine.
she's like, "Hey, mom, do I look weird?" No. See ya. It's like
the lack of follow-up question.
right. Okay, cool. So then she goes back to reading the smut mag. So basically she's just reading like some Danielle Steele book and all the
It's
hot
like
parts.
Skinamax in a book. It's awful.
I mean, good for Melissa Gilbert. Like she went to the bookstore probably.
Well, they have all kinds of raunchy stuff at that bookstore too.
Past Kitten and grabbed a novel.
One of the 10 copies of Life, Love, and Lust, or whatever the name of that book was.
At breakfast, Julie is still bugging her mom about getting some.
Oh my gosh.
And then we have a very unusual scene. So poor Isaac, who just got promoted last week, only really has two things to do in this whole thing. He already did one, and here's the other one. Isaac is walking by with a drink tray. Julie grabs him and says, Hey, Isaac, can you get my mom something to, quote, get her off the launching pad? Which is a weird thing to say about your mom. And
in
Isaac,
the morning, it's a weird thing to say about your mom at breakfast.
Isaac takes the drink that he was clearly taking to someone.
Yeah, one of two. Sure. Right,
and hands it over to mom. But what's in that drink, you might ask, Mike? Well, thanks to the worst ADR we have seen on this show.
What was going on with that?
So weird.
How did that have to be like redone? Like what?
Do you think So it is a Bloody Schwarzenegger, and the joke is that it's stronger than a Bloody Mary, and that's all I know. There's no ingredients or anything. Yeah. But the ADR is horrible.
It's like got horse meat in it. It's something awful.
Austrian horse meat.
Austrian horse meat with tomato juice and vodka.
It's not a vodka. I think Ted Lang said Schwarzenegger. His mouth got close, but I wonder if he said it way off and they had to go back in. It was weird, right? Like
it was like he was all of a sudden outside, like he was in a recording studio. Like it was very weird. I don't know what happened there. That was a really weird cut.
That was bizarre.
It was glaring. There was no doubt about it.
No, that's the worst. Like that bloody Mr. Black. It's
so funny. It could have been anybody. Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was.
Do you think it was Lou Ferrigno? Like maybe that was the Mr. Weren't they like rivals?
They were rivals.
So there you go. Maybe it was like coin flip. It's Ferrigno or Schwarzenegger. Ted, just kind of muddle your mouth when you say it.
I think right now, Lou Ferrigno just started playing the Hulk.
I don't know.
Who's another? I don't know. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I think Ted Lang is actually the best. I think Ted Lang is actually the best actor out of the 5 people on this show, so I don't think he would mess up his line.
No.
So
why wouldn't you just reshoot the whole thing? It wasn't like it was a long scene.
Because they didn't put a lot of time into this episode.
Actually, this episode is one cut. It's just one long camera shot.
It's an Ed Wood movie. So.
Weird. Yeah, the sound was weird. The drink was weird. The fact that he was like, Julie's pimping her mom out in the morning at breakfast is weird.
Just to cap the weird scene here, and this old dude shows up, this tan as hell old man named Joel Kirby.
Good Lord.
And
he shares a son with George Hamilton, this guy.
George Kirby, or not George Kirby,
whatever that
pitcher for the Mariners. Joel Kirby,
this guy,
basically gives Julie like the head nod, like this the bitch.
Oh, is this her? And the $20 bill sticking out of his pocket, like she set the whole thing up.
So Julie splits, and Joel Kirby wastes no time. He's like, his plans with her are a couple drinks, maybe a stroll around the deck, and then
maybe
we're old, my cabin or yours. So.
She didn't say no. She was just like caught in the headlights. Like, huh?
This is overwhelming.
Weird.
I got to think being Julie's mom has been overwhelming this whole time, but this probably feels like do you like? I remember I would go home sometimes and like uh even some of the family would be there, but like we had 5 people in the house, and then you realize there's one bathroom, and you're like, how the hell did we all live here, right? Like it just is like it's crazy. That's what it must be like when you run into Julie as a parent. You're like, how the hell did I raise you like every day dealing with this stuff?
Yeah.
Julie then sets her gaze to Dad, and she just throws Norman Fell into a pile of cougars. Just 3 women, divorced women, just throws them right in.
Well, she says he's almost single, or he's almost divorced, one of those two, and I'm just like, but there's no. I didn't find any comedy in her doing that. I just thought it was crazy and manic that she was doing that.
Well, and again, to your point, Norman Fell doesn't give you anything.
Oh.
He doesn't
say yes, no. He's just nothing.
Right. He doesn't like come off uncomfortable enough for it to be that way. He doesn't like try to have a conversation and it turns into something else. Like
he's like litmus paper that does nothing. Oh, let me see what they dip it. Oh, it's nothing. It's just.
It's so disappointing. We have a random.
And the thing is, too, it's more than just the role. Because, like you're saying, just to add something, and I don't mean to just destroy Norman Fell, but
this
again,
is the last time we're going to talk about him, so go for it.
It just bothers me. There's just no effort there.
I'm starting to come around to what you're saying. I was blaming the writing because I think so much of him, but you're right. There was just no effort here at all to make this better. And there's no way it was on the page that Bill McCoy is the most dull man.
No.
Ever,
Well, like, I mean, I figured he was going to bring a little Norman Fell to it, the sarcasm, like the sort of looks, the dead. And I'm with that. But he didn't even like put the effort into doing that. It was just his face.
We didn't even get like a little bit of the Lockhorns, right? We didn't even get a little bit. Like
nothing.
These guys should or shouldn't be divorced, but there's like no evidence that they're even together. These are just 2 people. Like
they don't say anything. Why you waste Art Bear on this? Maybe I don't know. Maybe that wasn't their story. They brought it into, so who knows? But it's really alarming. When I saw that he was going to be on this episode, I got a little excited.
So did I.
And
it's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on Bear and Jolson for the next episode. I'll just say that.
No kidding, man. Pick up your game, guys.
We get a random shuffleboard insert.
They're terrible at shuffleboard too, by the way. Do you see that? They didn't even make it back on the board.
Told you, we got one shot at this.
Awful. We need stock shuffleboard footage. Where no one scores.
What do you got, like a 4?
Awful.
It was during the hurricane, so it's like
well, that makes sense then. Makes sense. Scores are a little,
yeah, a little skewed. You have to be weighted those. All right, so here's the big scene. So Norman and his mom and the Simpson parents are on the deck, and here comes Rocky. She's all dolled up. She's got her dress. She's got her hair did. She's all done. Norman's not a fan. So
Norman's like, what?
He's like, what is that stink?
with his authentic El Paso accent too, by the way.
This cowboy over here.
You couldn't have picked a Hispanic kid to be in this, in Ellen Travolta. You couldn't have.
I think they think this was a switcheroo.
Oh, with the accent, no one saw that coming.
Right. But the problem with it being a switcheroo is they didn't mention El Paso till the end.
There was no switch to the roo.
They should have
like, where were you born? They could have tiptoed around it like that.
They could have literally said when the parents were talking earlier, do you think she'll like El Paso? I don't know. She's not going to know anybody.
They love to have people on the boat that have secret bad news to tell.
They love to have people on the boat who don't talk about pronouns and facts
until they're in international waters, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, now we can say it. Like
we've moved around as adults. Like when I would be somewhere with my wife, we wouldn't be like, well, we should talk about the move. No, we would say we should talk about the move to the place we were going.
I'll tell you what, though, it's sort of similar. I was in a situation once, and I'll leave out the details to protect the innocent and the guilty. I was told, hey, let's ride this Ferris wheel. Again, I'm not a big fan of heights. I get on the Ferris wheel, 2-person Ferris wheel. And
The
she
whole ride
says,
was 2 people on a Ferris wheel?
well, no, it's very, Alabama,
No, I got you.
A minute, and she goes, I have some, I just need to tell you something. And she told me some pretty crazy news with this girl that I was sort of dating years and years and years ago. She's like, well, I wanted to tell you this because you can't run. Like, you're in a Ferris wheel. I was like, wow. That was brilliant. So is that the logic? Yes. We're going to tell her we're moving to El Paso because what is she going to do? Jump off the boat? Like, what is that? Is she Ferris wheeling him? Like, how is it same logic?
That's probably the logic, honestly.
That's what I would think.
She's 13. Like, where's she going to go?
Exactly. She's 13. Tell her you're moving. Right. Be the parents. What are you talking about?
Guess what? This whole scene is basically Nelson's like, you want to do this? And she's like, I can't. I'm fancy now. Blah blah blah. And then he's like, all right, well, F off. So and he's out of here. And I will say, Ellen Travolta does make him apologize a couple times, but
at the end he doesn't. Though he just walks off.
He really doesn't. And then Melissa Gilbert runs away, and her mom goes right after her. We'll get back to that in a second.
Oh, right after. Okay, I'm so glad I wrote this down. I know where you're going with this. Also, I love that. I love that it's just the Jimmy Baio accent and the fact that they're in El Paso. Just okay. You guys witnessed something. I don't know. Whatever it is, you guys do.
We got a lot of cactus.
Hey, what's your name? Norman. What's your name? Norman's mom. What's your favorite part of Texas?
The spaghetti warehouse.
I love the spaghetti warehouse. Exactly. It's wonderful.
Smash cut. Selden and Atkins are walking by the weirdly empty pool as the flirting continues for another night. The pool is empty and there's just a beach ball just floating. Like
just one lonely beach ball.
Like I kept waiting for like Jaws to come by. It was just like oddly serene, eerie almost.
It was very weird.
Okay. So as we said in the last scene, Rocky gets told off by Nelson and runs. Yeah. And her mom's like, Rocky, wait, I'll go get her immediately. I think when I first watched,
immediately.
Like, she didn't get up, but it's immediate. So at most, I would say Melissa Gilbert got 10 steps on her, right?
Melissa Gilbert has superpowers. Yeah.
Melissa Gilbert is back in the cabin, has gotten changed out of a dress into her tomboy clothes, has gotten that whole hairdo.
32 jersey. Yeah, her sports jersey.
Whole hairdo undone.
All back to, yeah.
Seemed very complicated. It should be like a complete nonsense nest or whatever. Then mom gets in. So how many drinks did mom stop at? Is this where mom went to pick up Leslie Nielsen?
She went to go have a tequila sunrise. The bartender gave her that crappy one. You didn't do it. Yeah. Remember this one?
So Rocky's going through it. And it's classic tomboy stuff. It's basically like, listen, people get mad when I do things I like. Then I try to do what people want me to do. And people don't like that either.
Just be yourself and blah, 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 blah. You know, that's a good, it'd be a great Brady.
Yeah.
You know, well, Rocky, tell you anyway. Yeah.
It's pretty superficial advice. Mom's like, be the best you can be. Don't ever change. Don't even change even for me or your father. And Rocky's like, bitch, I didn't change for you.
Yeah, it wasn't about you. Yeah. It wasn't about you. All you buy me are these stupid sports jerseys. I have 50 sports jerseys that say 32 on them. There's not a real player on the back. Bunch of garbage on
logo on it.
Nothing. Just says sports. That's what I'm mad about, Mom.
This hat looks like I'm on a baseball card from a cereal box. Come on.
This is terrible.
Speaking of Normie, though, Dad shows up and says that you have a visitor outside. And this is where Normie, kid she met 3 days ago, a child, breaks the news to these guys' daughter that they are moving from Denver to El Paso.
The Simpsons just have a fear of confrontation, apparently.
So we talked about it, right? But like their plan, whatever it was, she runs to go get Melissa Gilbert, stop at the bar for a couple drinks. And then in that time, he's like, hey, kid, where are you from? Please be El Paso. Please be El Paso.
It's so weird. Like, it doesn't. Yeah,
and it's also weird that Ellen Travolta doesn't show up here. Right? Like, it should be both of them. Like, they should have had a conversation.
She's probably like, everyone knows too much.
Rocky's like, I don't care about El Paso. Everybody's probably a gorp.
Why did they pick El Paso? Why would you pick El Paso? Just you couldn't go to New Jersey? It would have been like, okay. No?
I have no idea. I mean, listen.
He's breaking news. The whole thing's skewed.
We complained a lot towards the end of last season that this felt like a very Los Angeles show. I will say at least these people were from other places. So
that's true.
I'll give them that. But it was a hell of a coincidence.
And a bunch of names.
Do you think that Rod Simpson works in witness protection and he's Ellen Travolta's agent? And that's why he's got to go to El Paso.
Might be. That's why they live a block away or 3 blocks away. Maybe.
Or
you know what? No, because nobody working for that is going to wear that tuxedo.
But that's what they want you to think.
You'd be like,
it's like the inspector.
I know how to fit in.
No one will notice me in this tuxedo.
No one will even see me. I'm invisible.
Weirdly, that's it for that storyline, except for the very end. That's it. We're done. We're done with Act 3, and they're gone. Act 4. All right, here we go. Back to the lounge. And Selden and Atkins are on the dance floor and they're smooching. There's a reaction. There's a lady behind them who does one.
Yeah.
For like a second, which was
great.
Great.
Yeah, they're good for them though. Good for Atkins and Selden.
They talk about going to each other's cabins, but they both have roommates, and they take that as a sign that
Tonight's not the night, dog. Yeah,
and right you know what? We're getting over our skis here.
Pump the brakes.
Miss Selden's like, sorry, I can't see you again.
No,
it's
too much. I'm a TV censor. I can't do this.
I'm pure of spirit.
You write pamphlets.
It would never work.
It wouldn't work.
Miss Selden runs into Doc. She's devastated, obviously. Doc tries to be charming, but she's an older lady, so he's not trying to be that charming.
He doesn't care that much, no.
And basically, he's like, "Oh, you have a case of being lovesick. All right, fine." But
what do you prescribe? I usually prescribe an ocean voyage. Yeah. Shut up, Doc.
Yeah,
shut up. We're already on an ocean voyage.
Horse tranquilizers, Adam.
I usually ask him to smell this rag. And he's like, all right, Adam Bricker.
The creepy Joel is back. Mom shoots him down pretty fast. Julie is just so much. Like, it's just at this point now, she is just so 20. Much. To the point where Mom just dances with the next old man because she's like, I get the hell out of this table.
She just doesn't. She doesn't. She just goes with it.
Yeah.
It's like that kid on that Twilight Zone movie. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Where like his sister was complaining, so she like covered his mouth. They had all his favorite treats. That's being parents to Julie is just like tightrope walking barefoot over like a sea of Legos. Whoo, careful.
Like you said, now that these olds are dancing, Julie runs back to the band.
Of course.
And says, play it again, Sam.
Like she's from the 30s.
Also, that was at least one day ago that we played a song. Play what again?
Play what? Yeah. The song we just played that people were dancing to?
Yeah, you realize when Ingrid Bergman says, or is it Ingrid Bergman? Yeah, whatever. In Casablanca, when she says, "Play it again, Sam." Sam had just played it.
He just played it. That's like going up to a jukebox where you played a song in a bar 20 years ago and walking up and going, "Let's do it one more time." The jukebox is like, what are you talking about? I only speak dollar bill. I don't know you. Who are you? So weird.
Love Is a Many Splendored Thing comes back on. Norman Fell's like, all right, it's enough of it. Let's wrap this storyline up.
Yeah.
He gets up. The best thing Norman Fell does in this whole thing is give the guy the eye when he cuts in on him. That was like the best part, but it was like, whatever. And then the two of them talk, and they're basically like, I don't know, this single stuff sucks. If we're going to work at stuff, we might as well stay together. Fine.
Which basically is just like, I don't want to put forth obviously I have to put forth effort, but we can collectively put forth zero effort and just ride this thing out till death. That's nice, guys. That's nice.
I'd rather be miserable with you than have to listen to our daughter.
I'd rather listen to you than have to get used to a new voice, basically.
Julie, as you said, in her fancy new hairstyle,
middle part,
is happy that her devious plan has worked, and she's a winner here. So
she's a winner. She got what she wanted.
Yep.
Shocker.
So, what of the 5 parents that are on this boat? Ellen Travolta, the Simpsons, and the McCoys.
Yeah.
Who is the best parent? Who has the best parenting trip? And who has the worst parenting trip?
I mean, Ellen Travolta was telling Norman to like apologize, like direct.
I think she's a clear number one. Like I don't think
it counts for something. Yeah. Norman Fell just was a complete shadow of a man. I don't even know what.
Is he worse? Is he worse, or is Rod Simpson worse? I feel like Rod Simpson's the worst parent on this boat because that's a child.
I definitely think so. Well, what's worse, taking your child on a cruise to tell her that you're moving to El Paso, or going on a cruise, but it's really your daughter's work to tell her that after 30 years of marriage, you're going to get divorced?
I think if the ages were reversed, it'd be closer.
Yeah. Because it's just, that sounds real bad. Like, it just sounds real bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think it's possible that Rod Simpson got fired from his job and is working some scam and is just hoping that something's going to happen in El Paso and got really lucky about this whole thing. So
he invented the mechanical bull. That's what it is.
That's how Urban Cowboy started.
That's it. Rod Simpson is Urban Cowboy, the real one.
What if he invented,
and the electric horseman too?
Isn't like El Paso like a taco shell brand or something like that? Maybe he invented
Old El Paso.
Old El Paso. There you go.
I think it's a salsa, New York City, like one of those. You know?
Oh no, Jimmy Baio.
No, it's okay. I'm from El Paso.
Hey, your salsa stinks.
Oh, this is the worst gravy I've ever had. Putting it on pasta. I don't know what Ellen Travolta makes for dinner in El Paso. You're like, I don't know.
It's just noodles, just macaroni and cheese.
Every night. Oh, pasta.
The jig is finally up in the cabin. Selden and Atkins run into each other, and they compare their keys. And they both say F-133. So this is, except for Michelle Lee nervously jiggling her keys to get in away from the murder, I think this is the first key action we've seen so clearly.
Yeah, but we never see the exchange of keys. They always just say, here's your room number. Are the keys in the
They must be.
room?
They must be, which is still shady. But
then how did Radar get locked in with a dog then?
We never did figure that out.
And without a roommate.
Well, he bought his own room. Well, it's not like every room has to have a roommate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Money talks.
I just thought if it's right next to this room.
It's obvious that Mr. Atkins isn't going to have any money. He's handing out pamphlets.
Or he's got tons of money. You think it's cheap? Print those things out and wear a suit all the time? Nope.
No.
And all this hair care product? I shave every day. Oops.
Oh God, where the hell are we? Rocky and Norman say their temporary goodbyes.
You get a smooch in, man.
Again, in front of the parents too, like ballsy.
Dude, I had a thought too. I was like, listen, as a dad of a little girl, I don't know. I don't think that I could. Yeah, no, I don't think that would ever happen in front of me like that. There's no way. I mean, I'll be an older gentleman. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
The first kiss better be at a wedding.
It better be on your first anniversary. You know, that's the only one I want to see. He must be crazy.
Sure, it sticks.
Yeah.
Atkins and Selden, they give up the ghost here. They're going to get married. I will say that is this the most logical marriage proposal that we've had on the boat, right?
Have two people fit more,
right?
Than Atkins and Selden.
The urgency to get married so they can have sex because they're proper. I think this is the most logical marriage. Good for them.
Well, who had sex first? Those two? Or the Kathy Bates? Remember the characters where something always happened? It's just funny. They wanted to consummate their marriage, but every time they did, they got hurt. These guys want to get married so they can. It's just two different races.
To be fair, Kathy Bates' husband sucked.
Oh, he was terrible, dude. Yeah. He was terrible. He's no James Coco.
No. That'd be a fun couple. Kathy Bates and James Coco.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay. So we're in Act 5. So
yeah.
Nice and quick here. So Selden and Atkins are leaving together. And they get into like a PDA battle like across the lobby, which is like pretty well shot actually, because they almost do it like, to music.
They almost they almost did like that spinning sort of like, it was a cool shot.
Yeah. And then Gopher's calling them on their hypocrisy. It's like, hey, you wrote this pamphlet about no PDA. And they're like, oh, tough tit. Like we're going to just, be hooking up across the lobby here. So
it's funny. So he rips it and hands it to Doc, and Doc throws it. And then I'm thinking, I bet you Gopher has to go pick that up now and throw it away.
Rocky and Norman, like I said, say their goodbyes with the smooches. And then where are we at here? Oh, Norman tells Julie that he knew the whole time what her plan was, but it might have fooled your mom.
Okay.
I mean, fine, I guess.
Yeah, he really sold that line, like every other line on this show. Thanks, Norman.
What would have happened to Julie if one of the olds would have hooked up? Like if her plan had worked too well?
She would have ran off crying. Like either way, she was going to run off crying. Yeah. She just, somehow it all worked out.
Why does she thank Steubing at the end? What did Steubing do to earn a thank you at the end?
Created a weird daddy-daughter dynamic. That's what he did. It's weird.
God, you're right. It's gross.
It's all weird. She's getting all cozying up to him and stuff, and she's like, what are you...
Weird ending. Weird ending.
Very weird ending.
And that's it. That is the end of the episode. A weird thank you for, I don't know, intercepting a crazy person in the hallway, I guess. But then Steubing's even like, "You're welcome." Like, no, dude, Meryl, you didn't do anything.
Do anything, dude. They told you something, and you didn't even tell her. You just said, "I know," and then touched her nose in a weird way.
You did the Rod Simpson approach. You just kind of waited until something happened.
It's funny. It's like every episode, I kind of get on Steubing, but he finds new ways to do weird things in every. He was fine this episode. Then he had to he could have just been supportive and captain-like, but he kind of crossed that weird line. Like, stop with the embraces and the side hugs and all this, the nose touching. Stop it.
Doesn't take much.
Doesn't take much.
Totals and a recap. This is our technical first real episode of the season. So, since we don't rank two-parters, this is both the best and the worst.
All in one.
So next week will actually be the first honest reflection of all this stuff. But
we'll see.
I thought this was generally a good episode.
I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was a bad episode. I didn't think it was a good episode. I'll take that back. I would say it was a good episode, but it was at that baseline. If it was going to get like a letter grade, it was going to get like a meaning this, like it's going to be like a 1 or a 2, like an 82 or an 83. It's not a higher up than that when whatever scale that is. I thought it was fine.
I think
there's things I like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we probably separate on the kids storyline.
Yeah,
I think I probably think of this as a 2 out of 3 storyline endeavor, and I think you probably were more like 1.5.
I was 1 out of 3 on this one. Yeah,
which is fair. I did think the kids were good. I thought the Simpsons were terrible though. So
yeah,
I don't really know how you I get that. So yeah, next week will be a more interesting reflection. If we think this is the best or the worst, because it's going to be one of them.
Well, let me ask you, if this ends up being the best episode of the season, would it be disappointing to you that this is the ceiling?
That's an excellent question. I would say that would be disappointing because I feel like we at least got one legitimate good episode contender.
Fair enough.
I will also be curious to see if we have 4 or 5 times as many contenders for best or for worst as we do for best, which is kind of what happened last year. So,
I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is the first one, really, like you said.
Yeah. But last year we kind of got front loaded, so I'll be curious to see how that goes. We were front loaded with good and back loaded with bad. So, oof. Captain of the week. Who's the best this week?
Listen, I am a huge, after this, I'm a huge James Coco fan.
Yeah.
Delivery, physicality. I thought Dodie Goodman as Patricia Sheldon was also really good, but I feel like if I'm going to give it to one person, I would give it to them as a couple because I feel like they carried this episode. But if I had to break it down to one person, James Coco did an amazing job as Marion Atkins. What a physical comedy, facial expressions. He was great. So I would go with Marion Atkins this week.
I agree. And I think, like you said, we will definitely see these guys back in May with that new category of best couple because they really did carry. Really, most of the episode was about them, which was pretty impressive. I really was impressed with Melissa Gilbert. I thought that was the best kid, like actual kid performance we've seen. There's some nuance in there, but she did good with there's a line where she hands her mom the dress and says to burn it. It's just good comedy chops, right? Like it's just,
I thought she was good.
She wasn't an annoying kid, all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be shocked if I'm handing her a stubby in May for best kid.
It would not shock me either. I thought, somebody just exudes, I think maybe confidence, maybe that's not the appropriate word, but just an ease for somebody that age. Yeah, it was impressive. It was impressive.
I mean, she's a top quality actor. Like that's just like the quality acting performance that we don't always see.
She was great.
Or adult, honestly.
And her skateboarding alone, I mean, that gives her the...
Was skateboarding that prominent in 1978?
I think it was. That's when it really was starting because the little tiny banana boards and everyone got one for Christmas that year. I think it was just the thing.
Yeah. Walk the plank, worst of the week.
God, it pains me to say what I'm about to say. Like if there was a way I could give it to Steubing, I would give it to Steubing.
Always.
But Norman fell, man.
I know.
And I hate to say that because I loved him on the Ropers and Three's Company. I wanted Mr. Roper on the boat, and maybe that's on me.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but at least to me, you got to give a little something. Just give a little something to the character.
I almost feel like if you want to hide behind I'm Norman Fell. I want to do a different character, right? Which we always
Sure.
talk about. That's part of it. He should have been Barry Keys, right?
Do something other than, don't be Mr. Roper.
I gave it to the dads, both Norman Fell and Rod Simpson. Just terrible waste of a good actor, maybe in Norman Fell. And Edward Winter, terrible. So
yeah, just terrible. The whole thing was terrible.
Bad one for the dads. So that is totals and a recap for this week.
Excellent.
Do you want to check the old mailbag?
Check the old mailbag.
All right. We've seen some of the reviews and the nice notes we've gotten on the various social medias, so I assume some of those are coming in email form.
Nothing's low. Let me just reload it. I'm sure I'm missing something.
Probably a technical issue.
Try my junk folder. No, not junk. You can find us anywhere you get your audio podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. Interestingly enough, Google Play will soon be YouTube. YouTube is going to host audio podcasts as well.
Wow.
So stay tuned for that. So that is to come. Check us out. We have a Facebook group, Love Boat Project. Check us out on Instagram and the wonderful reels that come out weekly. Love Boat Project. And email us. I think I keep forgetting to share the email address. The email address is the loveboatproject@gmail.com. So
maybe we should we'll put it in post. We'll have it.
That's
right
what
here.
It is.
And then we'll put it up here too.
Maybe it's too long of an email address. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I shorten it.
Maybe there's too many people writing in and the servers are crashing.
Just jamming up the servers. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Maybe we should write to people.
We could do that. Sure. In between episodes. Mailbag. Sure. Yeah. Get the old reverse mailbag out. Yeah.
I did not look ahead to next week's episode, but I think if I remember correctly, we might have one half of Sonny and Cher on.
The one that's good at skiing or the one that's not?
It would be. So stay tuned for that. But otherwise, that wraps up. Okay.
Yeah, also, next episode, we will have our very first 2-time guest in the history of the show.
It's very exciting.
So we look forward to that as well. Yeah, I didn't look ahead either. Other than that,
we kept our promise to you, the viewer and listener. We do not bring guests back in the same season. But now that we're in season 2, we're bringing everybody back.
Fair game.
Get ready.
Clear the history. Let's go.
Favorites. That's right. So yeah, we'll be back next week with that. But until that time, thank you, Mike. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.